The freighter Meridian's Hope limped through the asteroid field on failing thrusters. Its hull breached in 3 places. Captain James Reeves gripped the control console as another impact shook the deck beneath his boots. His crew of 12 had been reduced to 5 in the pirate ambush, and now they were running on emergency power through one of the most dangerous sectors in charted space. "Sir, we've got a distress beacon," his navigator called out. 2 clicks to starboard. James hesitated. They barely had enough fuel to reach the nearest station, and their medical supplies were almost gone. But the code of the void was sacred among spacers. You never ignored a distress call. "Change course," he ordered. The wreckage came into view minutes later. A sleek vessel, unlike anything in human design, floated dead in space, its silver surface scorched black. The ship belonged to the Velari, a species humanity had encountered only twice before. They were advanced, peaceful, and intensely private. The boarding party found her in the medical bay, barely alive. She was tall and elegant despite her injuries, her skin a soft lavender hue that seemed to shimmer even in the emergency lighting. 3 of her forearms hung limp, and purple blood pooled beneath her. "Get her to our med bay now," James commanded. Their ship's doctor was dead, killed in the pirate attack. James had basic medical training, enough to know the alien woman was dying. Her biology was completely foreign to him, but he understood hemorrhage when he saw it. She had lost too much blood. The woman's eyes opened, large and gold with vertical pupils. She tried to speak, but her language was musical and incomprehensible. Her hand found his wrist, gripping weakly. "I don't know how to help you," James said, frustration building. "I don't know your physiology." She touched her chest, then pointed to his arm. The gesture was universal enough. She needed blood. "That's insane," his first officer said. "Our biologies aren't compatible." But the woman's grip tightened on James's wrist. Her eyes pleaded. In that moment, she wasn't an alien from a species more advanced than his own. She was just someone who didn't want to die. James rolled up his sleeve. "Set up a direct transfusion. Captain, this could kill you both, and we die trying." The process was agonizing. James felt his blood flowing out through the makeshift apparatus they'd rigged. The woman convulsed on the table, her body rejecting foreign cells. But then something changed. Her skin began to glow softly, and the wounds on her torso started to close. Her breathing steadied. James collapsed as darkness took him. He woke 3 days later in his own quarters. His first officer sat beside the bed, looking haggard. "The alien woman?" James asked. "Alive and recovering. She's been asking about you." The woman was on her feet when he entered the converted cargo bay they turned into her quarters. She bowed deeply, all 4 arms crossing over her chest in what he assumed was a gesture of profound respect. "I am Lyra," she said in perfect English. "Your blood gave me more than life. My people have a unique gift. When we receive such a sacrifice, we gain understanding. You learned our language from my blood? Language, history, culture. The essence of who you are." Her golden eyes studied him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "What you did goes against your own medical knowledge. You knew the risks. You needed help. Among my people, such an act creates a bond deeper than you can imagine. You gave of your very essence to save me. This is not something we take lightly." Over the next week, as Meridian's Hope crawled toward the nearest station, James found himself spending more time with Lyra. She was brilliant, discussing quantum mechanics and philosophy with equal ease. She told him of Velari society, a civilization thousands of years older than humanity, built on principles of knowledge and sacrifice. "We believe that those who give of themselves in the face of certain cost are the most worthy," she explained. "Your species is young, but you possess something we lost millennia ago. You still act on instinct, on emotion, on the irrational belief that one life matters, doesn't it? We know it does intellectually, but we have forgotten how to feel it. She touched his hand gently. You reminded me. When they reached the station, a Velari ship was waiting. It was massive, elegant, and clearly important. Lyra's family, it turned out, was among the most influential in her society. Come with me, she offered. Let me show you my world. Let me repay what you have given. James shook his head. I have a ship to repair and a crew to take care of. Then I will return, she promised. The bond we share does not end here. She was gone for 6 months. James rebuilt his crew and took contracts in safer sectors, trying to forget golden eyes and philosophical conversations. But he dreamed of her most nights. When Lyra returned, she arrived alone in a small personal craft. She found him in a bar on Outpost 17, nursing a drink and watching ships come and go through the viewport. I have thought of nothing but you, she said, sliding into the seat across from him. My people believe I am irrational. They say I have been contaminated by human emotion. Maybe you have. I do not care. She leaned forward. Among my people, when a bond is formed through the gift of life essence, it is traditional for the saved to offer something equally profound in return. Lyra, you don't owe me anything. This is not about debt. Her voice was soft but firm. I wish to carry your child. James nearly dropped his glass. What? Velari females can adapt their biology to be compatible with other species. It is rare, reserved for bonds of the deepest significance. I want to create life with you, combining our essences as you combined your blood with mine. That's impossible. We're different species. Not impossible. Difficult, certainly. But my people have mastered genetic integration. The child would be unique, belonging to both our worlds. Jane stared at her, trying to process what she was offering. Why? Because you are the first person in 300 years who made me feel alive. Because when you gave your blood, you gave it freely, expecting nothing. Because I have walked among my people and found them wanting compared to the raw, beautiful humanity I saw in you. She took his hand. Because I love you, even though my people say we are not capable of such primitive emotions. They're wrong about that. I know. The decision terrified him. A child between species seemed like science fiction, impossible and dangerous. But as he looked into Lyra's eyes, he saw the same desperate hope he'd seen when she was dying on that table. She was offering him everything, just as he had offered her his blood without hesitation. Yes, he whispered. The process took months. Velari scientists worked with human doctors, carefully engineering compatibility. James learned that Lyra's people had once been explorers, seeking connection with other species, but had withdrawn into isolation after a great war. His willingness to sacrifice for a stranger had awakened something in her that her entire civilization had suppressed. When Lyra confirmed she was carrying his child, both their peoples reacted with shock. Humans were fascinated and hopeful. The Velari were divided, some calling it an abomination, others seeing it as a return to their forgotten values. James didn't care about politics. He held Lyra close and felt the new life growing within her. A bridge between two species built on a foundation of selfless sacrifice. Our daughter will be remarkable, Lyra said, her hand on her swelling abdomen. She will carry the best of both our peoples. She be loved, James replied. That's all that matters. You gave your blood to save a dying stranger. I am giving my body to carry hope for both our futures. Lyra smiled. We are both fools by the standards of our peoples. Then I'm glad to be a fool with you. Their daughter was born on the Velari homeworld, attended by the finest doctors of two civilizations. She had her mother's golden eyes and her father's stubborn jaw, skin that shifted between lavender and tan depending on the light. and 3 arms instead of 4 or 2. They named her Nova. For new beginnings. As James held his daughter for the first time, with Lyra exhausted but radiant beside him, he thought about that moment in the asteroid field. He had given his blood expecting nothing but to save a life. In return, he had received everything: love, family, and a future he never imagined possible. The Velari scientists who had opposed the Union came to see Nova, and even the most hardened among them wept at the sight of her. She represented what they had lost: the courage to reach across divides and create something beautiful from sacrifice. "What you did changed everything," Lyra told him later as they watched Nova sleep. "Not just for us, but for my entire people. They see now what they gave up when they chose isolation. I just did what felt right." "Exactly." She kissed him gently. "You taught us that sometimes the irrational choice is the most human one, and perhaps the most necessary." In the years that followed, more bonds formed between humans and Velari. Nova became a symbol of cooperation, of the power of selfless action. But for James, she was simply his daughter, the miraculous result of one moment of compassion in the cold darkness of space. He had given his blood to save a dying alien. She had returned to carry his child. And together, they had created hope itself.